Is Apple losing the AI race? From slick Siri demos that proved more aspiration than reality, to a bombshell class action lawsuit alleging misrepresentation, and a staggering $75 billion wiped off their market value post-WWDC 2025. Apple has always projected effortless innovation, but now, silence from Cupertino on cutting-edge AI is deafening, punctuated only by whispers of frustrated customers.
It's true, Jay. While giants like Google and OpenAI sprint ahead, pushing AI boundaries, think real-time translation and truly smart assistants, Apple seems to be deliberating font choices. Is this calculated patience or a catastrophic misstep that leaves them fatally behind in the most critical tech race of our time?
Good question, Maya. Today on Neural Reflections, we're not just asking if Apple is losing, we're diving deep into why. We'll dissect their wait and polish strategy, examine Apple intelligence, and identify the real players defining the AI landscape. Can Apple truly stage another comeback? Welcome to Neural Reflections, the podcast where we bring you slow thoughts for fast times in the world of AI, productivity, and internet culture. I'm Jay, and joining me as always is the brilliant Maya.
Thanks, Jay. It's great to be here. You know, after that opening, I almost feel like we need a cold compress. Intense stuff. Jay, we've opened with Apple's current predicament and AI questions. Let's now explore their foundational philosophy.
A fair assessment, Maya. Let's rewind to Apple's classic playbook. For decades, their strategy involved letting competitors experiment and stumble, then entering later with a highly polished, integrated solution.
And this formula absolutely worked, right? The iPod wasn't the first MP3 player, the iPhone wasn't the first smartphone, but Apple's polished execution redefined those categories. It thrived in hardware where perfection and integration are paramount. You could almost set your watch to it.
Precisely. But here's the rub. AI isn't hardware. It's a software arms race. Cutting-edge AI isn't a one-off launch. It demands continuous experimentation and massive data. This moment required rapid iteration and open feedback loops, areas where Apple's secrecy and control are disadvantages. They locked the lab door, while others opened APIs and invited collaboration.
It's almost like they misread the moment. This could be Apple's Nokia moment, thinking they had time to perfect their offering until the landscape shifted. Software moves differently. Here's speed, adaptation, and public iteration win.
You know, we have interesting thoughts from Apple executives Craig Federighi and Greg Joswiak about this. In a recent interview after WWDC 2025, the interviewer really put Craig Federighi on the spot, asking, "Where is the Siri you promised with AI?" Federighi sounded, well, a little defensive. He explained a two-phase plan for Siri, with a V1 working to do basic capabilities shown. He insisted it wasn't vaporware, but didn't converge in the way, quality-wise, that we needed it to. Joswiak added they don't want to disappoint customers by shipping something below their quality standard.
A quality control issue, they say. And that interviewer, Jay, really went for the jugular, didn't he? It's a familiar Apple refrain, but in the context of AI, it carries a heavier weight, especially considering what everyone else has been shipping.
Indeed. A rather persistent line of questioning. It certainly does carry weight.
So, Apple Intelligence was announced like a revolution, but what did it actually include?
Well, they announced OpenAI's ChatGPT integration, but it's opt-in and sandboxed. It's not deep, seamless integration like Google's Gemini across Android. Siri got promised upgrades at WWDC 2024, like context understanding. However, investigations revealed many impressive demos were staged mock-ups, not real devices. According to the information, Siri pulling flight info from email was effectively fictitious.
So the only fully implemented part of the WWDC 2024 Siri demo was apparently a new on-screen glowing ribbon animation. You've got to be kidding me. This was a major departure from Apple's usual practice, severely eroding public trust.
To add insult to injury, many touted features only work on their M-series chips in iPhone 15 Pro. That's a massive gatekeeping move. Customers bought expensive phones expecting GPT magic, but got animated Siri and simple commands like, "Show me the files John sent." That's arguably 2022-level assistant work.
And cue the lawsuits. This disappointment isn't just personal. It's now a formal class action lawsuit alleging false advertising. It's a stark moment for a company that once prided itself on "it just works" marketing.
Speaking of keeping up, that same interview with Federighi and Jasiak touched on this competition directly. The interviewer noted using many Apple's competitors' products, asking if Apple could keep up. Jasiak explained Apple's strategy is a little bit different, aiming for generative AI as an enabling technology for features across our operating system, not a standalone chatbot. He stated they opted to give users access to ChatGPT, believing that was the best one.
I hear them. But their argument that Apple Intelligence is an underlying technology, not a front-facing GPT magic chatbot, still leaves users wanting. And honestly, "we didn't do that" sounds a bit like an excuse now, doesn't it? A touch of dry amusement.
Absolutely. The disconnect is palpable. They're selling a vision that, for most users, simply isn't a direct experience. This brings us directly to the courtroom. By late 2024, users filed multiple class action lawsuits alleging false advertising. One federal suit in California claimed Apple's marketing saturated the internet to create reasonable consumer expectation of transformative AI features, when in reality, the AI was significantly limited or entirely absent.
NJ, Apple's iPhone 16 campaign prominently touted Apple Intelligence. The complaint argues this induced many to upgrade needlessly, paying a premium for absent AI. By March 2025, one lawsuit gained class action status, with more piling on, all citing Apple's deceptive Siri Intelligence upgrade.
Many buyers didn't realize core features wouldn't work without the most expensive, newest models. They paid a premium for an intelligence layer that, for many, simply doesn't exist as presented. Legal analysts call this a watershed moment, possibly the first major AI misrepresentation case of its kind.
Apple has long traded on trust, on the idea that it just works. This time, trust seems significantly eroded, potentially costing them in long-term consumer perception. Rebuilding that trust, once it's cracked, is hard.
The interview continued, with the interviewer pressing on why Apple, despite vast resources, couldn't make it work. Federighi reiterated its new technology and no one's doing it really well right now, emphasizing doing it best and avoiding rushing the wrong product. He acknowledged high expectations for Siri to be as good, if not better, than the competition, stating that's certainly our mission.
They certainly emphasize getting it right, but pressure mounts from competitors delivering. Frankly, that quality standard argument feels thin when comparing it to what others have shipped, especially when it sounds like they're saying no one's doing it well, which, well, might be a stretch.
Absolutely. The disconnect is palpable. They're selling a vision that, for most users, simply isn't a direct experience. So while Apple debated who was actually shipping, failing, and iterating, not Meta, not Microsoft, the real contenders defining consumer AI are others. First up, OpenAI. They defined the wave. ChatGPT's late 2022 release stunned the tech world, amassing millions of users. It proved a general-purpose AI assistant could be useful and engaging. They keep redefining it, moving at breakneck pace.
Then there's Google. Alarmed by ChatGPT, they declared code red in early 2023. But they pivoted quickly. Within months, Google fast-tracked Bard, then Gemini, integrating it deeply across Android and web services. By late 2024 and 2025, Google's AI blossomed. They demoed Gemini Live, a voice-first conversational assistant. Gemini Live users had conversations 5 times longer than typical text chats. Google moved from panic to product, becoming a fast follower, leveraging vast data and engineering.
And let's not forget Samsung. They took a pragmatic route, leaning on partnerships and available tech to quickly add AI features. Lacking its own large language model, Samsung adopted others' innovations. Live Translate, introduced with Galaxy S24 phones, provides real-time voice translation during calls and messaging. It shipped months ahead of Apple, handling 13, now 20 languages. Samsung achieved this by leveraging Google's technologies like Android speech recognition and Translate. They also collaborated on Circle to Search and introduced generative photo editing tools years before Apple. Even on small AI tasks like object erasure, Apple lagged. Independent tests showed Samsung's AI erase was clean, while InPhone's version left blurry artifacts. A hilarious viral moment, frankly, and not a great look for Apple's perfection. These companies shipped, failed, iterated, and improved. While Apple debated internal structures and AI utility, Apple outsourcing core AI to OpenAI is less leadership, more survival.
It's a stark contrast in philosophies, isn't it? Openness versus a walled garden. And in this case, the walled garden seems to be quite, overgrown.
So where does this leave Apple? They are down in the AI race, but not necessarily out. Their history shows a pattern of sometimes entering late but dominating via superior integration and user experience. However, AI is a fundamentally new contest, continuous, collaborative, and thriving on openness.
This demands a shift in Apple's deep-rooted secrecy and perfectionism. Can they change? Do they even want to? The AI race isn't just about assistance, it's about who defines the future interface. If Apple's AI is second-rate, the premium justification for its products could wane.
Notably, Apple executives in 2025 acknowledged misjudging the timeline, emphasizing quality over deadlines. That honesty might sting short-term, contributing to stock volatility, but long-term, it's the right approach if backed by real progress.
Jay, we have one final piece from the interview about Apple's future.
After being pressed on their perceived backwardness in AI and the sentiment that Apple is on its back foot, Craig Federighi suggested that Apple is feeling really good right now, drawing on their long history of navigating ups and downs. Greg Joswiak then chimed in, referencing Steve Jobs' naive theory that if they create great products and tell people about them, everything else will work out, asserting that Apple's current products are exceptionally great. It's certainly a steadfast position.
It's that classic Apple confidence. A bit of vintage Steve there. But the margin for error is gone. The coming 12 to 18 months are critical. If by the next WWDC or iPhone launch, Apple can demonstrate Siri and Apple Intelligence that truly rival ChatGPT, Bard, or Samsung's features, the narrative will quickly shift in their favor.
Apple still enjoys immense customer loyalty and a vast installed base. Improved Siri would instantly reach hundreds of millions of users, amplifying impact. Otherwise, if Apple's AI features remain vaporware or modest, it will reinforce that Apple's glory days of innovation are behind it.
This challenge is an opportunity, a chance for Apple's leadership to reinvent the company's culture for the AI era. By fostering internal unity, welcoming outside ideas, and leveraging its unique assets, Apple can absolutely catch up in AI.
But if they don't deliver soon, they risk something far more troubling than a temporary stumble: the slow erosion of their status as the leader and trendsetter in consumer technology.
And that wraps up another episode of Neural Reflections. What are your thoughts? Is Apple truly losing the AI race? Or is this just another chapter in their long game? Let us know in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share your take with us. We're always keen to hear your slow thoughts for fast times.
This episode was compiled based on extensive research and various public sources. You can find links to all our sources in the description of this podcast. Our opinions, as always, are our own.
Until next time, I'm Jay.
And I'm Maya.
And this has been Neural Reflections.